Perfect. Right. So good evening, I guess good morning. We have people, outside India, and maybe a good afternoon, depending upon the region that you guys have joined. So welcome all to this, a third prep session, basically a automation pro session. So the last month we had a fantastic, the Pro 1 session, and in continuation to that, this month we have organized the Pro 2 session. So a lot of people over here have already been certified on Pro 1. And as I said, this is the continuation of the Pro 1, where we will be going ahead and talking all about the Pro 2 certification. And probably at the end of the session, we will also give you some time to go ahead and complete and get yourself certified on the Pro 2 session. Before doing that, if some of you who aren't aware of the systematic platform, the QR code is up right on your screen. So just scan the code and join the systematic platform. Systematic is basically our Workato community platform. I'll speak about it in just a couple of minutes. If, as I said, if few people haven't registered, scan this QR code, or maybe just click a snap of it, and later on you can register. Right. So let me move ahead. And first thing first, let me all speak about what I do in Workato, what are the roles and responsibilities that I play. So my name is Niaz. If some of you are very new to this ecosystem, I lead two programs for Workato India. Of course, the very first program is the Developer Community Program, and I also lead the Education Partner Program over here. Now, being in the developer community program, so what we tend to do is grow the India community program for Workato, and this is why we are doing a lot of programs for the community sites. So we have done a lot of physical meetups. We have also done few of the virtual meetups. And apart from that, there are other initiatives that we're doing in order to support and grow the developer community, especially in the India region. Apart from that, in the education partner space, it's a very beautiful program. Of course, I want all of you to be a part of it. You guys can also contribute to this program. So what we do is we tie up with the Indian education system, and we introduce Workato to the college students. So the second year, third year, fourth year students, we go ahead and teach or introduce them to the Workato ecosystem and make sure that they learn the tool very well before they are graduate, right? Because that makes them highly employable once they are graduated, right? So a lot of progress have been made. We have a lot of colleges under this program. So we have VIT, we have Amity, we have Symbiosis, and few other colleges in the Indian ecosystem. We are also running the similar program across the globe. So we are running it in Singapore, we are running it in US, and also the developer community program is also running in the same manner. Now, let me introduce you to the speaker or the instructor for today's, Mary Gabriela. She is the instructor, and she leads the training for basically all the most of the technical trainings at Workato. She is an highly expert, and to be honest, most of the trainings that has taken place in Workato for pro sessions is all led by Mary. Hey, Mary. Hello.
Hi everybody. Again, it's me. I was running the Pro 1 session before, and welcome back. I do see some familiar faces,
All
and
right.
I'm happy to conduct Pro 2 session for today. I'll hand it back to Niaz.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mary. And if few of the people who aren't aware, Mary is from Philippines, and it's fairly late night for her. So let's appreciate her, her dedication to support the Indian ecosystem, for figuring it out an odd time and to deliver a session for 2 hours long. Thank you, Mary, for that.
You're welcome.
All right, cool. Let's move ahead. And let me introduce you to the Systematic platform. As I was speaking earlier, Systematic is the community platform for Workato, which means all the efforts that we put forward for the Workato community, it will happen on the Systematic platform itself, right? So it's a fairly, very easy to use platform, right? As you might have, seen other community program, the only reason why we want to grow the program is to connect, learn, and grow, right? So for me, it's also the connection, learning, and growing. for all the other people like you, it's also to connect, learn, and grow, right? So you get to connect with our product team, you get to connect with your peers, your colleagues who are working inside the Workato ecosystem, learn from them, train from them. So a lot of programs have been started, right? Down the road, we also are looking to launch the Workato Mentor in the upcoming year, and following that, we'll also launch the MVP program for Workato over here. We have a lot of sections under the systematic platform. So basically, you will find three sections divided. You have the lounge, the pros, and the systematic private community. So in the lounge is where we have all the latest news and announcements that we make. Apart from that, a very beautiful thing present in the lounge is the business jobs board, right? So all the partners and customers of Workato, for example, if they have any requirement for the Workato related projects, they make sure they post it on the jobs portal. So it's very easy. Anyone, in the Workato community looking for an Workato opportunity, instead of course, you can always move on to other platforms such as Indeed, LinkedIn, but this is very dedicated to Workato. So all the openings will and only be related to the Workato ecosystems. You have the community chat available where you can chat with other people. And coming to the pro session, which is nothing but a forum for us, right? So if you're aware of Stack Overflow and other platforms, Workato Pro is nothing but a forum for us. So depending upon the type of questions you have, we have classified different buckets there. For example, if you have questions only related to Automation Institute, then you can go to the Automation Institute page and you can type your questions there. Or if you have questions which is very specific to the embedded platform, so go to embedded platform. And in general, if you have any technical questions, you can go to the pro discussion board and you can post your questions from there. So all the Workato employees plus all the community of Workato are present in this platform. So it's not we who only go ahead and answers all the query. It might be your peers who knows the questions very well, who knows the subject very well. He or she might be able to go ahead and answer the queries that you have. So we highly encourage all of you to follow the forum very well, or to follow the systematic page very well, because in order to keep yourself updated what's happening in the Workato ecosystem, Systematic is the only platform that you can track down. A lot of gamification is built into the platform. Of course, you might have heard the term recipes and other jargons that we use while building the Workato apps or the automation. So the batches are also, named in such manners, right? So you will be awarded a deputy chef, an executive chef, a sous chef. So it all depends upon your contribution that you have, contributed to the platform. So the more you contribute, automatically you will be upgraded to the batches, and your batches will be live on your portal, and everybody can see, what level of batch currently you are in. There you go. So that was all from my side. And if you have any questions, I'll be there throughout the session. Please feel free to post your questions in the chat box. And Mary, I'll hand it over to you.
Thanks, Niaz. All right, I'm just going to go share my screen. And again, everybody, welcome to Automation Pro 2. If you weren't present in Automation Pro 1, I was the instructor there, and I've been with Workato for 5 years, 5.5 years already. So a bit, there. And I'll be your instructor for today. Okay. Again, welcome to Automation Pro 2. So this course is really intended to build off of what we learned in Automation Pro 1, which is also a prerequisite of this course. So just a recap on our Automation Pro 1, we started with recipe basics, including, triggers, actions, connections, and we talked about how you're able to configure these basic building blocks of a recipe and how these recipes are typically driven from an event in a source system. So from Automation Pro 1, we also reviewed the Workato UI in terms of how to navigate around by creating projects and folders, and even how to access the community library to download or copy pre-built recipes in your own workspace. In Automation Pro 1, we also got our hands dirty and built out a basic integration between two systems, such as Salesforce and Google Sheets. So if you still have all of these applications, that is great. This is what we'll be using in Automation Pro 2 as well. So we'll be using Salesforce, and Google Sheets for Automation Pro 2. Okay, so because you're done with Automation Pro 1, you might be feeling, pretty good about your automation skills and you want to create more recipes in Workato. So that is where we are in Automation Pro 2. And for this training, it's quite different approach than we did in Automation Pro 1, in where we will not be building recipes from scratch. So as you see in my screen, there are 4 main topics that we'll be looking at. So first, we'll have the conditional actions, which is an incredible, important concept in Workato. Then we'll move on to error handling, which you should, incorporate in almost every recipe that you'll be building. Next, we do have repeat actions and variables. And lastly, we'll talk about lookup tables. So our approach in Automation Pro 2 is for every topic, actually for most of the topic here, I will be sending you in the webinar chat some pre-built recipes. So these pre-built recipes would involve all of these topics that we'll be discussing, and we'll be cloning them into your account and get them running, okay? Because these are 4 major topics, we're not able to build it from scratch within the 2 hours. So I'm just going to be sending you the pre-built recipes and we will start your recipes from there. Okay, all right. So of course, because this is a 2-hour session, we will give you time for the live Q&A at the end and also to get your Automation Pro 2 certificate. Okay, so similar to Automation Pro 1, this is a 15 questions and you would need to get 11 correct in order to get your Automation Pro 2 certificate. But don't worry, this is the same as before. It's an open book examination and it's multiple choice. Definitely you will pass this examination after our training for today. All right, is everybody ready? Just type ready and I'll be good to go. Maybe you're grabbing water, getting coffee. Just want to ensure you are here and we can get started. All right, we're ready. So again, good afternoon, good evening to everybody tuning in. I know you guys might be in different cities and different countries. So just making sure we're all ready. Okay, perfect. I do see some replies there already. So let's start. So the first topic we have is conditional actions. So conditional actions are used in most Workato recipes. So of course, you would understand that this is really the primary way in which Workato supports branching logic, right? So with conditional actions, you essentially set a condition within your recipe to better define the overall workflow processing logic. So a good example is deduplication. So here in the screenshot that we included, you'll see here a conditional action. In this conditional action, what it is doing is if list size equals 0, meaning if leads is not found in Salesforce, then it will do or execute the following actions. If you see here, it's in a different line, meaning this 2, step 4 and step 5 is indented. This is under step 3, meaning only step 4 and 5 will be executed if step 3 is met. Okay, so this is your condition. And again, we'll do the hands-on activity where I'll be giving you the pre-built recipe and you will understand it more. Okay, so here what it says is, conditional actions will only be carried out if the specific condition is true. If this is not true, then step 4 and step 5 will not be met. Again, all of your conditions would depend on your business logic. If this is not what you intend to do in your condition, of course, you can modify it according to your own business workflow or business logic. It could be, if amount is greater than 50,000, then create records in Salesforce or add them in Bamboo or different applications, okay? Okay, so that is the conditional actions. So there are two types of conditional actions within Workato, and one of them is the if statement, and the other one is the if else. Okay, so these work slightly different. So with the if statement, this essentially, when the condition is present within that block, it will only be executed when the condition is met. So the if condition looks like this. It's just one block and the rest would be your actions. Okay, this is the if condition. The if else condition is composed of two blocks. You have the if condition on the top and the else condition at the bottom. So this is different from the if condition because then you have the else condition at the bottom, in where if your first block is not met, it will then automatically execute the else condition. Okay, so it's if else, right? If conditions are true, actions within the if block will be executed. Otherwise, if this is false, the actions within the else block will be executed. So Workato supports nested conditional action. If this doesn't make sense, that's okay. You will understand it more when we run your pre-built recipe. Okay? So when you have your conditional action, you would see here there are three different fields that you would need to configure, right? So the first field here is what we call the data field, data field, in where you'll be mapping in your dynamic data pill from the recipe to use as your comparison. So remember, all of these data pills comes from the recipe data box. And of course, you would see where or what step it is coming from. Next, you have here the condition. So condition depends on the data type. It could be, greater than, it could be a Boolean, or it could be equal to, not equal to, etc. And you will see what different conditions we have in Workato as well. Next, the third one is the value. So this is typically mapped by a fixed input value, but again, it can also be a data field that you will be mapping into. So this three fields here, basically, if this is the value that you are, mapping in, you would be comparing it against the value here. So here in this condition, it says, if the amount is greater than 500,000, then it will execute that certain step. Okay, so again, when you configure your conditional action, it depends on your business workflow or your business logic that you are trying to achieve. Okay, so in the conditions, you have to understand that it is very sensitive to data types. If a condition is used for invalid data types, the recipe will not run correctly. For example, if you are comparing greater than to a string, let's say greater than, you added a text like greater than a dog, then of course this condition will not be met because the condition is not valid for that specific value. So you always have to understand that your conditions is sensitive to data types. Okay, an invalid action condition may cause the recipe to run into errors while processing actions, filter out all condition action events incorrectly, and it is also sensitive to uppercase letters or even lowercase. Okay, so tip here, most conditions do not work on null data except is present, is not present, or equals or does not equal to. So I guess this is one of the knowledge checks that we will be doing later also. Okay, so for the common use cases for conditional actions, it is, I mentioned earlier, you need to be aware of deduplication. So deduplication is basically ensuring that when you sync over information to other application, there would not be the same record combined. So conditional actions make sure that you're only syncing one record, like a source of truth. And one of our recipes that will be showing you later is the deduplication logic. And you will I will guarantee you that after this training, you will understand deduplication logic, right? Common use cases with conditional actions is stopping the recipe. Let's say when you run into an error, you could create an if condition. Let's say if the error message contains 404, then you stop running the recipe. Okay. You could also invoke different function recipes by calling other recipes. And you can even set up notification for different error messages. So all of this can be executed via your conditional actions. Okay. So common mistakes when you create your conditional action is, of course, mapping data fill from the wrong step output. Whenever you map the wrong data fill, then of course your integration would not work correctly. Also, the common mistake is mismatching data type against operators. Okay, so I mentioned earlier, when you mismatch data type against your operator, you want to make sure that you are indeed making a valid comparison. So you cannot, put a condition where you're stating the amount is greater than, a dog, a cat. It should be also a number, etc. Okay. Okay, so the fun part is, of course, for every topic we do have the hands-on activity, and it's okay if you did not understand the conditional actions. I will guarantee you that after this hands-on, you will understand how conditional actions work in Workato. Okay, so for this hands-on scenario, John managed to set up the automation, and the sales team managed to use this spreadsheet to follow up with the new leads. Despite seeing some efficiency gains, they realized that the automation does not synchronize updated leads information. So this means in this hands-on scenario that we will be implementing the deduplication logic. Okay. So before we start our hands-on scenario, you would need to copy this spreadsheet into your Google Sheets. Okay, hold on. I'm going to be sending it here. And I'm going to give you 10 to 15 seconds to click on the link, click make a copy, and it will direct you to your Google Sheets. So similar to our Pro One, you should have your Google Sheets and your Salesforce account ready. Okay. Okay. Just going to give you a couple of seconds more. Okay. I think everybody is ready. Is everybody ready? I'll give you 2 more seconds to. Okay. Okay, I think everybody has copied the Google Sheets already. Okay. Okay. So, right. What we're going to be doing now is our hands-on activity. Once you have, okay, done. Okay, next one is, this is the pre-built recipe that we'll be working with. Okay. So again, I am not able to give you a recipe from scratch because we only have 2 hours of limit. I will be giving you pre-built recipes. Okay. So if you click the link that I've sent over in the webinar chat, you will see here the same exact page that I am seeing. So first we have the one conditional action Salesforce to Google Sheets. In order for you to clone this into your account, you have to click on use this recipe. Okay, so I'm just click use this recipe. Where do you want to save your copy? If you have your Automation Pro training project, add it in. If you don't have the folder, create a new project and just type Pro 2. Okay, and click copy and save. Okay, I'm just gonna take it a bit slow in case you want to take it easy. Okay, right. I'm just gonna click on the X button here. Okay, once you have copied the recipe or cloned the recipe into your account, don't worry, you will see errors. And we will solve all of these errors that you are seeing in the screen one by one. Okay, so the first error that you are seeing is under the trigger. Let me just click on the trigger, right? And the error that is showing is you have to connect your Salesforce account. If you have your Salesforce from Pro 1, feel free to use that connection, okay? There's no changes that we have made into your Salesforce account, but if you have a new Salesforce account, just copy me and change the connection name to, what was it before? Demo Salesforce, right? And just click on the connect button. Again, this is only applicable to those that don't have Salesforce before and just adding it now. But if you have active connection within Salesforce, use the active connection instead. Okay, so now I'm just creating a connection within Salesforce, and you should be familiar with this already from our Pro 1 topic. Okay. Okay, so it's loading. Okay, just giving it more time because I know my internet is quite slow. Okay. All right, I'm just gonna click save. Okay, and once you click save, if you've already added your Salesforce connection, you would see that the trigger error is now gone. Okay, let's now go to step 2. I'm just gonna see if there are any more issues that we need to solve. Okay, all right. So for step 2, you have to check your spreadsheet name. Is it correct? Automation Pro 2 Salesforce objects. So you have to go to your Google Sheets, right? Okay, Automation Pro 2 Salesforce. Okay. If you've renamed your spreadsheet, let's say it has copy of Automation Pro Salesforce and you renamed it to something else, you should click on the spreadsheet and find that name that you renamed it to. But if you did not rename it to something else, Automation Pro Salesforce object is the correct spreadsheet. Okay, so I'm all good. I'm gonna go to step 3. There's no error. I'm gonna go to step 4. And again, I'm just ensuring that the correct spreadsheet is selected. Again, if you've renamed your Automation Pro Salesforce object in Google Sheet to something else, like I did, just make sure that you are using the correct spreadsheet name. Okay, I'm gonna go to step 5 and I'm gonna go to step 6. Okay, don't worry, I have not yet explained to you what this recipe does. I'm just making sure that all the spreadsheet is correct. Okay, I'm gonna click save again. Okay, let's now understand what is happening in this. Can you guide how to bring if block? Sorry, could you explain further? What do you mean by block? Is there an error? Okay, so I'm just gonna explain to you what this recipe does. Okay, so for trigger, it is looking for new and updated leads in Salesforce. Okay, then for actions, it is searching rows in Google Sheets, right, via the lead ID. In step 3, this is where our conditional action comes in. So our conditional action says if list size equals 0, meaning if there is no record, it will add a new row in Sheet or in Google Sheets. In step 5, this is also a conditional action in where if list size equals 1, meaning if a record is found, it will update that row in Google Sheets. So all of this, icons that you see on the left, you're able to click on it and you will understand that all of the actions inside that is inside this if condition. So this 2 if conditions, these are called deduplication logic, meaning you will not have the same record added into your downstream application. your records will either be created as new or updated if it is already existing. This ensures that all of your records are unique and there's no duplicate. Okay, so again, this is called deduplication logic. And from Pro 1, we created a very simple recipe where we're just adding rows in Google Sheets. And of course, because it's just a Pro 1, it's a very basic integration. It did not house any logic. For this one, you have to ensure all of your recipes has this deduplication logic. Okay? How do I enable if condition for Google Sheets? Can you explain further? So the only thing that I did as a recap was, for one, in Trigger, I connected to Salesforce. For step 2, I just ensured that my spreadsheet is the same name as what I am using now, which is this one. It is Automation Pro Salesforce object with the date today. Don't worry, it's the same as the one that I've sent in the webinar chat. If it's different, then just search here the spreadsheet name. Okay. Then for step 4, again, I just ensured that I'm using the correct spreadsheet. And then for step 6, I am ensuring that I am using the same spreadsheet as well. Okay. Right. So with the trigger, I just want to make sure I'm going to be changing this when first started. This recipe should pick up events from. I'm going to change it to beginning of time. Why? Because again, you know, the developer Salesforce account has some pre-built records there, and that is what I am trying to play with. Okay, now please save your recipe, and I'm just gonna again do a recap just to make sure we are on the same page. So for trigger, the first thing that I did was change this one to beginning of time. Step 2, I did not change. I only changed the spreadsheet name here because this is what my spreadsheet title is. For step 3, I did not change anything. Step 4, okay, are able to update the trigger. Did you run your recipe? If you run your recipe, then you would have to clone the recipe again, which is what I've sent in the webinar chat. Okay, and step 4, I changed the spreadsheet name. And in step 5, I just ensured I'm using the correct spreadsheet. Okay, all right, and I saved it. Okay, so in your spreadsheet, I'm just going to show you what we're doing. In the spreadsheet, you will see there are 3 tabs. We have opportunities, leads, and contacts. So for leads, this is where we'll be syncing all of the Salesforce leads here. Okay, right. So what I'm going to do now is we're going to start the recipe. I'm going to exit this and I'm going to start the recipe. Okay, and you will see what would happen when we have conditional actions in your recipe. Okay, so I've started the recipe and you are seeing right now that it is appending to our Google Sheets. Okay, right, which is pretty cool, right? And I'm just gonna stop this recipe. I'm gonna show you what it looks like. Okay, so now it's appending. I'm gonna refresh my recipe. Okay. Okay, it's just quite very slow. Okay. All right, I'm gonna refresh again. Okay, because I just want to see my job report showing everything. Okay, so for this one, yeah, I'm gonna just be picking, it might be different with yours, but I'm just gonna be showing you the record for Caroline. Okay, so this one, I'm gonna click on one of the records. For most of us, this link is not opening. Oh, really? It's not? If you click on the link, click on make a copy. This does not show you. Okay, I'm gonna just ping Mias to see if it is working. Okay, Niyaz, can you check if
Yes,
this link is accessible?
sure. Let's just check that.
Yep, and just click on,
Probably it says to make a copy, right? So we can make a
yeah,
copy by ourselves. Right, yeah,
yeah,
it works.
yeah. If you click on make a copy, it will be copied inside your Google Sheets already. Okay. Okay, so I shared the actual, oops, I shared the actual URL here. Okay, try again. Okay, I'll give you a couple of seconds to do this, 10 seconds. No worries, we still have a couple of time because these are all pre-built recipe that we're working with. Can you give me a thumbs up or reply in the webinar chat if you're able to copy this Google? Can is yeah, okay. Can you share with us? Can you sorry, can you share with us the error that you're seeing? It's pretty weird. Okay. Above one is the error message. All right, I'm gonna park it there for the meantime. And Niaz, can you check if the webinar, the actual link is working as well? On my end,
Sure.
it is. Yeah, pretty weird, but it is. So what I can do is download this. I don't want to do that actually. Okay, let me try. I'm gonna download this.
It is working. It gives me an
Yeah.
option to make a copy.
Okay. All right. I think yeah. Maybe can you? Yeah. I think this is an isolated case for Shiva. Maybe you are using your organization system, which is blocking this link here.
Yeah, I guess that might be the reason because others are able to access it.
Okay. Okay. So I'm gonna park it first, and we'll help you after. But I hope you still stay so you can see what we're gonna be building inside, Automation Pro 2. Okay. So I've clicked one of the records inside the job report, and this is what you will see. So when you set some conditional actions, you will actually see what it went through. So I'm going to scroll this down, right? So remember I had 6 steps, and for each of your reports, you would see where your record has fallen into. Okay. I'll slow down. Okay. Thanks for letting me know. Okay. So as a recap, I was here in my recipe. I started the recipe, and now it synced all of the records inside my leads in Google Sheets. This is what we're working on. Okay. Under jobs, right? When you start your recipe, you will create jobs here, right? All of these jobs, you're able to click on it and you're able to see what happened for that certain record. And why am I showing you this? Because here you will see what condition was executed for this recipe, right? For this recipe or for this job, it showed us that the record did not exist, meaning if list size equals 0, meaning it's not existing, it will add a new row in Google Sheets. And therefore, it added this last one, Caroline Crenshaw. Okay. And then for step 5 and step 6, the condition was not met. Therefore, you will always see this label, condition was not met, meaning these steps were not executed. Okay. So the cool part about this is if you click on the repeat this job, you would see a different change of the execution in your recipe. So click repeat this job, and here you would see that step 3 will not be executed. Instead, step 5 will show you that it will be executed, right? Okay, see. So I clicked on repeat this job, and now you'll see that instead of step 3 and 4 being executed, step 5 and step 6 executed. Why? Because this record is already existing, therefore it will meet the condition where the list size equals 1, meaning if this record is existing, it will update that row in Google Sheets. Okay, so again, list size, basically you are searching rows in your Google Sheet. If that search returns 0, meaning it is not present. If it returns 1, meaning it found 1 record. Okay, so when you click on repeat this job, instead of it executing step 3 and step 4, it executed step 5 and step 6. This logic ensures that you are not duplicating any records in your, downstream application. Instead, if you find a record, it will update. Okay, because in Pro 1, if you recall, we were just adding rows directly to the application. Okay, so this recipe, you already have this inside your Workato account, and for all of the recipes that I'll be giving to you, you will see this deduplication logic. So at the end of this session, you will be very familiar with deduplication logic. Okay, so in this topic, we tackled the conditional action. Okay, right. So that is it for the conditional action. Okay. All right, so let me just go back and see here. Okay, so earlier I mentioned the conditions that work with null data. If you recall, this is what I mentioned. I'm just going to give you a very quick glance. And of course, since I showed you what conditions work with null data, let me see in the webinar chat if you remember the 2 conditions that works with null data. Correct is present. The other one is, there were 2, is present and, okay, I'm going to show you, is present, is not present, and equals and does not equal. So Shivam, you got it correct. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a prize, which is a very cute blue Tesla. Just imagine. Okay. All right. So our next topic is error handling. Okay. So again, for this topic, I'll give you pre-built recipes, and we'll be working based off of that pre-built recipe. Okay. 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 So here, error monitoring and handling. This is a very powerful feature that is used to monitor a set of actions within your recipe. You're able to retry steps that may be failed within your recipe, as well as execute other steps due to or in spite of the error. So when would you use error monitoring and handling? For example, you would want to send a custom error message or error notification when an error occurs. This is very similar to try and catch block in programming. Okay, so configuring error monitoring and handling. This is what you will be seeing when you use the error monitor action. Okay, there will be 2 sets or 2 blocks. The first one on top is monitor the following actions for error. So inside this block, you will be adding all of the steps that you would want to monitor errors from, right? Once any of these steps encounters an error, it will then execute the second block where it says, on error, you can retry, 1, 2, or 3 times. And then you can add a step where you would want to post a message in Slack or send an email or even send an SMS. Again, depending on how you troubleshoot errors in your business logic, right? Because everybody has different sets of error handling within their organization. You could be adding your errors into a main database where you are collecting errors, or you could simply be sending a ticket to another system, or you could be emailing or sending an SMS to your IT team. So these are the different things that you can do when you encounter an error. Okay, right. So when you encounter an error, you can also add in the stop action. Basically, this stops the job when an error occurs. This means it will not execute any further steps within your recipe, and it will stop your recipe and mark it as failed. Okay. You can also mark your recipe as successful, you know, if that is what you are trying to achieve. Okay. Even if your recipe encounters an error, using the stop job, you can still mark it as successful. Okay. All right. So the hands-on scenario that we're going to be doing for this error handling is John has created a new automation to synchronize contacts from a Google Sheet maintained by the sales team to Salesforce. As the Google Sheet is manually populated, it is prone to data entry errors, and there has been a few instances where the Workato job erred out. Okay, so for this hands-on scenario, we will be using the same Google Sheets, and now we are syncing it to Salesforce. Okay, so this is my Google Sheet, and now we'll be going to contacts. Okay, so under these contacts, you would not be touching anything, but instead, all of these contacts that you see, we will be adding this into our Salesforce. Okay. Okay, so let me go back here, and what I'm gonna do is send the hands-on scenario pre-built link in the webinar chat. So all of these links, actually, you're not able to find it anywhere else. Because of the Pro2 session, you're able to see these pre-built recipes. Okay. Okay. So if you click on the link, oops. Okay. If you click on the link here, this is what you are going to be seeing. So similar to the first hands-on activity, click on use this recipe that you see on the right side. Okay. Again, what you would need to do is save it to your Pro2 folder and click copy and save. We'll go through each one. And just an FYI, there are 3 pre-built recipes that we'll be using in this session. Okay, and then I'm gonna click close. Okay, so for this hands-on, you will notice that there is no error. Why? Because you have already connected your Salesforce and Google Sheets again. Therefore, it is connecting to your active Google Sheets and Salesforce connection. Okay. 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 So let's go through the recipe and try to understand it again. So for this recipe, our trigger is coming from Google Sheets. So it is listening out for new or updated row in Google Sheets. Okay, I'm going to click on this first one. And again, just make sure that the spreadsheet is the correct one that you have selected. For my case, I have the date there because I do a couple of trainings every month. Therefore, I do have multiple Salesforce object spreadsheet. That's why I need to click on the one with the date today just to make sure that I am using the correct one. And there's nothing else you would need to change. Just ensure that you are using the correct spreadsheet. Okay, so for step 2, the monitor error has been added already. Okay, again, if you see this drop-down icon, if you click on it, you would see that there are 5 steps inside your handling a monitor error. Okay, and if you drop down this also, minimize it, you would see that there are 2 steps inside your on error action. So this is the monitor action block. Okay, again, it is composed of 2 blocks. The first block is where it will be monitoring all your actions. And the second block is what it will execute when it encounters an error. Okay, I'm gonna expand again all of this so you will understand what we are doing. Okay, inside the monitor handle block, you would be familiar with this logic already. Okay, step 3 to step 7. Where is this and what is this called again? If you know the answer, type it in the chat box. The step 3 to step 7, what is this logic called again? If you are listening. So again, this is called the conditional, and this is based off the deduplication logic. Okay, remember step 3 and step 7, deduplication logic, and it is composed of conditional actions. Okay, so you'll see that for every pre-built recipe, all the learnings from the past will be implementing it still. Okay, okay, so for this deduplication logic, it is now housed inside a monitor handle block. Okay, again, what does this deduplication mean? So this deduplication means first it will search for contacts in Salesforce. If it finds a contact in Salesforce, meaning if list size equals 1, it will update that contact in Salesforce. Else, if it does not find the contact, it will create a new contact in Salesforce. Remember, there are two different conditional actions, the if condition and the if else. Both works the same, and you can use both of it, according to your need. Okay, so here we are just showcasing the other type of if condition or if else condition that we have. Okay, if this encounters an error, if you scroll down, it will then send an email in Workato with the user email and the error message from step 8. This error message comprises of the error type, error message, and the retry count. Also, once it encounters an error, it will stop the job with an error. Okay, so the exciting part is having this recipe to work. So let me save, and now let's test this recipe. Test recipe. So when I test this recipe, we are now under the contacts tab in Google Sheets. Okay, right. So when you tested your recipe, it is actually created to have an error because this is error handling topic. We are creating an error, and this is, what do you call it? This is executed, and here in this recipe, you would see that creating a contact in Salesforce throws an error. It says the last name must be present. If you scroll down, when this error was shown, it sent an email in Workato and it stopped the job with error. If you go to your email, trying to just open my email, okay, oops, sorry. You would see here that there are the email that was sent. Okay, so this is the email that was sent to me based off my error monitor block. Again, it could be sending a Slack notification. It could be sending a ticket into Jira or in NetSuite or in other application. Depending on what you do with your error, you can add that workflow or business logic inside the error monitoring. I'm going to exit this, and I'm just going to go start my recipe. Okay, so for this recipe, I am expecting 1, 2, 3, 4 errors to appear because when you create a contact in Salesforce, the last name and an email should be present. If there's no last name or there's no email, it will execute an error in Salesforce. Therefore, the errors that is being pushed through, this is all part of your exercise. Okay, just gonna refresh. Okay, so it is correct. There are 4 failed jobs that we are having because in our contacts in Google Sheets, there are 4 records that does not have the last name and the email. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is intentional. We did intentionally remove last name and email. So your recipe will error out and you will see what it looks like when there is an error. Okay, so anything inside the error block, this is what it will monitor for, and you're now able to add any actions when it encounters an error. Okay, so this is error monitoring and handling. Okay, pretty cool. Okay. All right, so the common use cases where you would need to implement this is actually all use cases. So again, if you have your business logic in where you are trying to gather all errors, and then you would want to see later on, which errors can be rectified easily, then you would have a database of errors. So ideally, all use cases should have um, error monitoring step. Okay. Common mistakes where you would be using error monitoring is using too much try and catch blocks. This means that actually Workato enables you to do nested try catch error. You can add multiple try catch errors. And again, this is the common mistake that we see. The next one is neglecting to mark the job as filled when using the stop action. So earlier I mentioned that when you use the stop action, you can again mark it as successful, even if it is failed using the stop action. And maybe you're thinking, why would I want to mark it as successful if there is an error in the job? Maybe because these small errors that you encounter, you would want your job report to show successful jobs instead of showing it as failed. Okay, so for the common mistake, I'm just going to show you what it would look like and why it does not make sense to actually have multiple stop error handling in your recipe. I'm just going to show you this. We do have time. There's 2 more topics that we need to cover and you are good to go. Okay. Okay, so this is my recipe for error handling. You do not need to copy this. I'm just going to show you why it does not make sense to have 2 monitor handling blocks inside your recipe for this sample. Okay, so let's say here, I am adding another handle error here. Okay, right. Just going to close this. And I'm just going to put the else. Was I thinking of creating contact? Okay. Oh, hold on. Sorry. I'm just going to move this into this one. Okay. This makes more sense. Okay. This one. So for your error handling, you can have nested monitor blocks. So inside this main monitor block, I can have another monitor block. But it does not make sense to actually have multiple monitor error handling blocks. Why? Well, for this example, you are already monitoring for all of these steps here, right? And then you added another monitor error block when you are creating a Salesforce. So this would just have, 2 on error execution inside this recipe. And it doesn't make sense because you're already monitoring all of the steps here. It's just gonna make it monitor twice as much, and it will execute the same error handling twice. If you are sending an email here and then you're sending an email here as well, you will be receiving 2 emails for this error handling. Okay, because we do not limit you to have nested monitor block. Just take care on how you implement your monitor error. It doesn't have to be all steps that you're adding monitor block. It could just be one monitor block and monitoring all of the steps inside your recipe. Okay, that is using too much try catch blocks. Okay, so here, if you're able to fidget around the on error, you can check what is the maximum number of error retries that you can set up. Okay, I did not cover this, so feel free to go into your recipe, click on the on error action, and see how many maximum numbers of retries you can set up. I'm going to give you 10 seconds to do that just to see if you are on the same path as me. Okay. So click on error, right? And here, retry actions in monitor block. If you click on this, you will see. Great, yeah. Rohit, you are correct. So the maximum numbers of error retries that you can use is 3 times. Yes, correct. And you can also change the interval between these 3 tries. It could be, 6 seconds, 4 seconds, or 1 second, okay? Depending on what error you are trying to monitor for. So this on error, again, we covered conditional actions, and you can add a conditional action inside this R on error. So let's say you are listening out for 404 error message contains, right? Oh, sorry. Let me remove this one. It should be if the error message contains a 404 error, then it will send an email, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Again, you can implement the if conditions everywhere. Actually, it could be in your recipe, it could be in your error handling, it could also be in your trigger, it could also be part of your action. Triggers, action, error handling, you can add your if conditions there. Okay, right. So I don't need to do this. I'm just showing you what you can do. Okay, okay, right. Correct. It is 3 times. So for Rohit, I'm gonna give you you win a horse because that's the first thing that I saw. All right. So the last second topic that we'll be discussing is repeat actions. Okay. And you might be wondering why. Okay. You're welcome. Take care of your horse. Okay. So for those of you familiar with the programming or have a developer experience, the repeat action is equivalent to a for each loop or a for loop. Okay. So from time to time, you'll do a search. Maybe you're searching for leads in Salesforce. And rather than returning a single lead, you'll be thrown hundreds of records in one go. Okay. So this repeat action, when you've been returned to 100 records or 1,000 records, the repeat action is useful for going through that certain batch of records. Let's say you have 10,000 records. For those 10,000 records, you want to execute an action for each one, right? So it will go through, meaning it will repeat through that list. And for each of those 10,000 items, it will do a certain action. So this is the repeat action loop, the repeat action feature in Workato. Okay. So for this recipe on the right, you see here, new leads in Salesforce, and it is giving you a batch dispatch, meaning the batch, it can return you 10,000, 20,000, 30,000, etc. And for these actions, for each of these leads, you can add a new row in Google Sheet, or you can execute another, you can filter out that lead and make, just fetch the domain or just fetch the email through that, leads. Okay. So the repeat action is useful to go through each item in your batch dispatch. Okay. Common use cases where you'll be using the repeat action is, let's say you're working with a CSV file or a database, and all of those arrays are in lists or in batches of data. So you'll want to use a for each loop to process all of that line items within, let's say, a purchase order or in any type of list or array. So reading from files and databases, you have your recipe, the classical ETL or ELT extract, transform, load, where you're going to read data from a source, whether that's a flat file like a CSV, or we're going to fetch rows from a database based off a query. So for each row of data from the CSV file, each row of data from database, you can do this set of steps. Okay, so So the common use cases, this would look like this. Again, you can read from a CSV file. We do have different connectors that you can connect to in a database in Workato. And the repeat action helps you to fetch each row of that data from the source. Okay. You can also go through line items in an order invoice. Let's say you have multiple products in your order invoice. Using the repeat step, it will enable you to go through each line item in your order or in your invoice. Okay, so common mistakes when you use the repeat step is when you map data pull from the wrong step output, or when you use a repeat action when bulk or batch actions are available. So remember, when you are using bulk in triggers, you should also be using that in actions. Okay, so that increases throughput in your recipe. Okay, right. So variables is also not part of repeat actions, but it goes hand in hand with the repeat action. So for variables, this is actually a placeholder to store data. Okay. So variables are for storing data. So you can create a variable or store information and then reference that variable later on in your recipe. Okay. Or maybe you would want to manipulate data before sending it to your downstream application. Variable is used for that scenario as well. Okay. So this variable is existing only for that duration of a single job. This means it cannot be reused in your other recipes. Only for that certain job or for that single job is where variables will be existing. Okay, so we have different types of variables that you can use. You can have string, number, integer, date, datetime, boolean. According to your data type that you need, you can just select here in our data type in variables. Okay, you can also create a list in your variables. Okay, so common use cases where you'll be using variables is when you would want to transform data, when you want to use formulas, do data transformation, manipulate the data, or when you are creating lists. So for example here, let's say you have a list of records, 100 records, right? And within that 100 records, there's an email all throughout. For that email in that 100 records, you would just want to retrieve the domain. So you have a new filtered batch of domains. You will be using variables to actually execute that business logic. Okay, so here in the variables, it is doing formula transformation where it is getting the email, it is splitting it at the domain sign after the domain, and it will give you the list of domains for that certain email. Therefore, you now have, a filtered or a clean list of websites for your own lead hunting. Okay. So this is an example of where you can filter a list of records using the for each and using the variable. So of course, this recipe is not the whole. This is only a part of your recipe. Okay, so imagine, there are multiple steps above and down below as well. But for this one, it is highlighting where you can use the repeat action and the variable. Okay, so here we'll go through this because I don't have the hands-on for you for variables and for each action. So for this one, it says create filtered list of leads list. So for this one, we are creating a variable for list for each item in lines, meaning, there could be a CSV file on top, which consists of 1,000 records. If email is present in that 1,000 records, add those emails to the filtered list of leads. Once you have the filtered list of leads, it will then create leads in batches in Salesforce. Okay, so this means that using the for each and using the variable action, it has helped you filter out a clean list of leads based off the email, and it will then create all of the leads in batches in Salesforce. Okay, so that is an example of where you can use for each and for each and variables. Okay, common mistakes, unnecessary and excessive use. Common mistake is recipe variables versus account properties. These two are different. Again, recipe variables only exist with the duration of a single job. Account properties can be used in all of your recipes, and failing to initialize your variables. So when you create your own variable, you have to initialize the data type of that specific variable. Uninitialized variable has a value of null or nil. Just remember this if you do not initialize your variable. Okay. So earlier I was mentioning about account properties or environment properties. So this is very different than variables because environment properties can be reused in all of your recipes. And the cool thing about this is when you add a new property in your account properties, if it's a secret token, if it's a password that you're adding, Workato automatically understands that it is a secret, and then it will just hide all of the value and show you the last 3 digits of that value. So Workato can automatically distinguish if this is a secret token, if this is a password, or if this is a thing that you would need to hide. That's a great question. I'm gonna show you where you can be adding the environment properties in a bit after this during the Q&A. Okay. All right. So earlier I mentioned there was 2 values if you do not specify it in variables, right? Null or nil. Great job. I did not even finish answering or telling the question and you already answered it. What is the default value of a variable with a type of integer if it is not specified by the user? The answer is nil or null. That is correct. Okay. So the last topic is lookup tables. For lookup tables, we do have a hands-on scenario where you're building your own lookup tables in Workato, and I will help you with that. Okay, so lookup tables is organized like a database table with columns and rows of data. You can create a lookup table by importing from a CSV or manually adding columns and rows. So just remember, you are able to add 100,000 entries and 10 columns in your lookup table. So all of your Workato account, you can create a lookup table. Okay, I'm going to show you how that looks like. Okay, so when you have a lookup table, you're able to also have this as actions where it will give you search, add, lookup, update, delete, create, read, update, and delete records via your recipe. Okay, the common use cases where you would need to use a lookup table is when you are trying to reference data in your lookup table. When you are trying to temporarily log information in a lookup table, or when you are maybe adding your error handling information there. The common use cases is also compiling data for daily reports. So when we mentioned referencing data for the first common use case, we mean this scenario. Okay, so for this scenario, let's start with the right. For this one on the right, imagine you have multiple applications in your business logic. You have Salesforce and you have Jira. Both Salesforce and Jira has what we called the field status, but for their statuses, they have different terminologies. For Salesforce, let's say they have priority 3. In Jira, it's the same, but it is called low. In Salesforce, we have priority 2, but in Jira, it's called medium, right? In Salesforce, we have priority 1, and in Jira, it's called high. Both have status, but different terminologies. For lookup tables, you are able to store this information as static reference data, and you're able to, let's say, if it's P3 in Salesforce, you're able to retrieve the low status in Jira. Okay, so this is how you can use it for referencing data from multiple applications. Okay, the other scenario is lead routing table. Okay, so for example, you would want to have let's say you would want to compile data for daily reports. You can add this in your lookup tables because we do house 100,000 records in your lookup table. You're able to add information for that in a daily basis. Okay, so for temporary logging, you can use the lookup table as temporary data for small data sets. You can add in error messages or state of a process, etc. Okay. The common mistakes when you are using lookup tables is you are storing large amounts of data. Always remember the lookup table is not created as a full-blown database. We do have different connectors for that. Workato has pre-built connectors for different databases. So it is not the best scenario to store large amounts of data in your lookup table. Then the last one is storing lookup data that already exists in source systems, meaning, you would always want to have a source of truth in your application where it's all in one application and not in multiple different places. Okay? Okay. So for our hands-on scenario, including lookup tables, the sales team would like to use a different naming scheme for lead rating on the Google Sheets. This is a naming scheme that they would like to have. So hot, red, warm to be changed to orange, cold to be changed to blue, empty to be changed to not available. So what does this mean? If you go back to your leads in Google Sheets, okay, I'm just gonna zoom in. So for lead rating, in column G, we do have the hot, okay? So for this hot, we would want to change it to red, okay? And if later on we do have warm, we would want to change it to orange. If we have cold in the lead rating, we would want to change it to blue. So we're gonna be using a lookup table to actually do that integration in our hands-on scenario. Okay, so now let's go to your Workato account. Click exit in the editor. Let's click on leave and go to the left side where you have the tools. I'm gonna take it slow and go to tools. And if you scroll down, you look for lookup tables. Okay, is everybody here? Okay, click on lookup tables. So for lookup tables, if this is your first time creating a lookup table, it will show you a very blank page, right? Okay, so for this one, you have to click on new table. Okay, and it will show you this same picture as the one in the slideshow. Okay, the first thing that I would want to do is click on the pencil icon for the title. And let's call this Salesforce color lead status. Okay. Okay. And earlier, the screenshot that I showed you, you're able to import via CSV, or you can add entries manually. If this is your first time using lookup tables, let's just click add entries manually so you'll get the hang of it. Okay, I'm going to click add entries manually. Then it will give me the two columns what are we gonna name this? So for column 1, let's call this Salesforce lead status. Salesforce lead status. I'm gonna zoom in so you can see. For column 2, let's call this color lead rating. Okay, and just click on the save. Okay, since we already have the 2 columns, we can now add entries inside our table. So click on the add entry here on the top. Okay, and let's now enter a value for Salesforce. So I mentioned earlier for hot, type in hot for Salesforce. For color lead rating, type in red because we want to reference the color, and click on save. Okay, next click on the add entry. Next one, we would want to add warm. Color lead rating would be orange, and just click on the check. Let's add entry again, and remember the cold, we'll add in blue, and click on the check. I'll take it slow because I know you might be just copying right now. And lastly, our hands-on scenario shows us that when there is no value, we'll just add in not available in color lead rating. Okay, so this is the static reference data that we have created for our hands-on activity. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna screenshot this and I'm gonna post it in the webinar chat. For those of you who are still trying to create your lookup table. Okay. Very nice. Good job in creating your table. Okay. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna share the link for our pre-built recipe for lookup tables. Okay, so I just sent it. And I'm gonna show what it would look like. Okay, so this is the last hands-on scenario. Okay, and this is what it looks like. Click on use this recipe on the right again. Copy this to Pro2 folder and click copy and save. Okay. Okay, my internet is very slow. Okay. Click on exit for this one. And of course, you will have some errors, but do not fret. We will fix all of these errors that you see. Okay. So we'll go one by one. Let's go to trigger. Okay. So here in trigger, you just have to change the time machine. When first started, this recipe should pick up events from, just changes to beginning of time, because we do want to fetch all default values when your Salesforce account was created. Okay, again, recap for trigger, I just changed beginning of time. I just changed this and you are good to go. For step 2, search rows in Google Sheets. Again, if you have the same title in your spreadsheet, keep it as is. But if you need to change it to something else like copy of Automation Pro Salesforce object, change it to that. For me, it was Salesforce object with a date. Okay. And there's nothing else you would need to change. Just ensure that you have the correct spreadsheet name. Step 3, search entries in lookup table. So lookup table, remember the name that we created was Salesforce color lead status. So click on lookup table here and search for that specific name, Salesforce color lead status. Okay. And if you see an error, that's okay. It will disappear once we save our recipe. Let's go to step 4. Everything looks good. Let's go to step 5. Okay. It's loading, there's an error, and again, just search for the spreadsheet or Google Sheets. Mine was Salesforce object with the date. Okay, that's all that you need to change. And then go to step 7. Step 7, again, same. Just ensure that the spreadsheet or Google Sheets is correct. You need to change it. Salesforce object with the date. So if you still see all of these errors once you changed everything, don't worry when you click save, like what we're going to do right now, all of it will disappear. Ta-da! Okay, so now you have no error recipe. Good job. Okay, so let's walk you through what this recipe is all about. So for this trigger, it is searching for new or updated lead in Salesforce. Okay. For step 2, it is searching rows in Google Sheets, right, based on the lead ID. Next, it will also search entries in our lookup table based off the rating status in Salesforce. So this is what it is searching for, the cold, the warm, the hot. For step 4 to step 7, again, very familiar right now. This is the deduplication logic, right, with the conditional actions. For step 4 and step 5, this means if list size equals 0, meaning if there is no record found, that's why it's 0, it will add a new row in Google Sheets. So if you scroll down, all of this information is coming from Salesforce, and this is what is being added to Google Sheets. If you scroll down, you would see lead rating. Lead rating is in the formula mode where it is fetching the caller lead rating from your lookup table. Remember, we did a search entry in step 3 where we are searching for the Salesforce status. We are now retrieving the caller lead rating from your lookup table. So same for step 6. Again, this is a deduplication logic that we have been doing from the first hands-on activity, where if list size equals to 1, meaning if it finds one record based from the lead ID, it will then update a row in Google Sheets. Not available value is also available, right? Then why are we including it in a formula again? So not available, hold on, let me show you here. Yeah, colored lead rating or not available. That's a good point. You can actually remove this and it will give you not available if your color lead rating is empty. Yeah, this is actually duplicated, which is correct. Yeah, not available is also available, right? Then why are we including? You can remove this and it will also still give you unavailable, not available if it returns an empty value. Okay, if you're excited to try this out, click on save and you can now exit this recipe editor and start the recipe. And let's go to my leads. My recipe was changed. Okay. Okay, I'm just gonna show you here. Okay, leads, all right. So because some of my lead rating is empty, it will now automatically change it to not available. See, because this is, yeah. Okay, right. So you will also see here if we have orange, this is from our lookup table, meaning this Salesforce status is warm. If it's blue, remember it's cold, and red is hot. Okay, again, where are we getting all of this information from? We are getting all of this information from Salesforce. Okay, I'm going to show you where. If you don't have access to your Salesforce right now, that's okay. I'm just going to show you where we are getting all of this information from. So for example, for Betty Blair, right, we have red, So here, Betty Blair, I'm just going to click on the name. You don't have to do this. It's okay. I'm just going to show you where we are getting this information from. Okay. Okay, Betty Blair is here. Too many. I'm going to go to details. I'm going to scroll down. So this is the rating that we are trying to fetch, this rating. Remember, if the rating is hot, it is color red. Okay. If I change this rating of Betty Blair, let's say I change it to none, and I'm going to save it, then this row should show me not available. Okay. So it will take a minute or two. Once my recipe fetches that trigger, it will change it to not available. Yep. Okay, check jobs now. Okay. Yeah, see, found one job. So from red, it became not available. If I want to change, not available from Betty Blair again to a different color, let's say I want to make it to, where is it? Rating. I'm going to change the rating again. I'm going to change it to warm because I want orange. I'm going to click save. I'm going to go back to my recipe. Let's see if it triggers again. Okay, so this not available, I want it to be orange. And there you go. Because we use lookup table, it is able to reference that static information from our Salesforce to the lookup table. So this is how you can use your lookup table. Okay, so what is the total number of rows you can retrieve from a lookup table? Why is the first row not changed? Because this first row, this is not existing in my Salesforce. This is a static row that I have just added into my Google Sheets. Therefore, it will never find it when I trigger my recipe. So remember, this recipe is only from new or updated lead in Salesforce. And if you, yeah, okay. If this is existing in my Salesforce, it would change, but this is not from Salesforce. I've just statically inserted it there. Okay. So my last question, what is the total number of rows you can retrieve from a lookup table? This is actually a trick question. 100,000 rows. This is 100,000 rows and 10 columns. The correct answer is 10,000. I'm going to do a recap. Okay. This is a trick question and everybody gets it. Not everybody gets it, but it is a trick question. So the lookup table supports up to 100,000 entries. This means you can add 100,000 entries into your lookup table. The question earlier is how many rows can you retrieve from a lookup table? So storing is 100,000, but retrieving in one go is only 10,000. Okay, so that is the limitation. You can store 100,000 records in your lookup table, but when you do the action for retrieving, it will only retrieve up to 10,000. Okay, what does that mean? So if you go to search entries in one of your jobs, no need to copy me. Okay, search entries here. So when you do a search, the entries that is only able to retrieve here is up to 10,000. Okay, it can store up to 100,000, but here when you search and retrieve, it will only show you 10,000 because again, the visual would be too much. There would be 100,000 of columns. Therefore, the limitation for this is only 10,000. Okay. All right. Okay. So quick survey. Hold on. Let me just give you the link. Okay. Because of course we accept any kind of feedback and we always want to improve. Just going to paste it here. And we can have the live Q&A while you guys are doing your Automation Pro 2 exam. Okay. So for Automation Pro 2 exam, click on the link that I've sent via the webinar chat, and it should direct you to this page, right? Ensure that you are signed in correctly with the correct account that you use in Workato. Click on sign in. Okay, slowly loading. Okay, and click on get started. There is no time limit for this examination. Again, you have to get 11 out of 15 correct in your exam. If you need more time, just let me know in this webinar chat. I will add more exam attempts for you. The trick for Automation Pro 2, it's more of like a hands-on where it's gonna be asking you questions regarding our topics, and you have to go to the platform and see, what are the correct values or what are the correct fields that it is asking you from. So it's very similar to, let's say, the error handling, where it asks you, how many maximum number of error retries that you can set up. You have to go to the platform, you have to see how many, and the answer will always be there. Again, it's an open book examination. You can use all the resources that you have. There's no limit to it. Okay, well, you do your Automation Pro 2 examination. For those who have any questions, feel free to post it here right now so we can address all of your questions. Make it as a background noise. Where do we add the environment properties? So I'm going to address this while you guys do your automation exam, okay? Just make me as a background noise. Okay, to get your environment properties, you can go here, okay, in tools and click on environment properties. Okay, so here you can add in your variables. If you click add new property, let's say this is my secret. I'm gonna paste this one. I'm gonna click enter, right? I told you earlier that Workato automatically distinguishes if this is like a secret token. It will give you only the last 3 letters and hides everything in between, right? Which is pretty cool because see here, I'll remove this. I'm gonna copy this one. I'm gonna paste it here. It will give you access, but it will show you the last 3 letters or numbers within your environment properties. Okay, what else question? We'll be sending out this recording, so don't worry if this webinar was a bit fast. We'll also give you the links to all of the hands-on that we created. If you've passed your Automation Pro 2 exam, drop it here in the webinar chat and we'll be happy to congratulate you, right, Niaz?
Yes, yes, of course.
Yeah.
And yeah, and on terms of recording, so the recording will be posted on the systematic events page. So all of you would have gone through the event page for the Pro 2 session. So just below that, as a recap, we will add the recording over there. So it will be available, whenever you want to see it, but make sure you go to the events page in the past section and then track down the Pro 2 session, and then you can view the recording from there.
Perfect.
So in the same way, the Pro 1 section is also there. So if you and your colleagues or your friends who are interested to, complete Pro 1, probably this month or the next month, so they can recommend them to go through the recording. So they can go ahead and start with the Workato Pro 1 journey.
Nice. Thank you, Niaz. So we're gonna be staying here until the end of the session. If you still have any last minute questions, just post it and we'll be happy to accommodate you. And if you're
Right.
asking if we have Pro 3, unfortunately, we do not have Pro 3 as of the moment. It is a very extensive course. It consists of SDK, HTTP, even API course, which is very long. Might take you like 5 days to complete it. That's why we don't conduct it we don't conduct it instructor-led. Self-paced, it's possible. Again, if you have any questions, just reach out to us. We'll be happy to help you.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. How's the Pro 2 examination? Is it hard? Oh, congratulations, Shir. Congrats. Yeah. Again, feel free to post this in your LinkedIn. I'll be happy to connect you there and congratulate you. Pro 2 certified, I believe you passed with flying colors. Okay. If you need more attempts, don't hesitate to reach out to me here. I'll be happy to add more, which you won't get anywhere else when you're doing self-paced. When you do the self-paced, you would not be able to reach out to me. This is a secret in all of our instructor-led training. You have unlimited tries. Yeah. Oh, 15. Oh, 15,
Oh,
correct.
awesome.
Wow, congrats. You can take Pro 3. You can take Pro 3. Yeah, great.
And
Good
I remember
job.
when I took my Pro 3, I guess I got one question wrong. So, and that was the default value for integer variable, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, of course it's null and nil, but gone through most of the programming language, the very first thing I selected 0.
Exactly. Yeah. Pro 3 has some tricky questions. Yeah.
Right.
For Pro 3, can we get more attempts? I'll think about it. Um, because were you here for Pro 1? If you were here for Pro 1, I will give you more attempts. If you weren't here for Pro 1, I'll think about it.
Right. So by default, you guys have 2 attempts available. So which means you can reach out to me, you can reach out to
Yeah,
Mary, or any point of contact in case for Workato, and we'll make sure we redirect it to the academy team, and then we reset your attempts. So you will get 2 attempts. And as an exception cases, we might even approve more attempts, which is the third, fourth, and
yeah.
so on.
Can we get the Pro 3 meeting like this? Ah, I would love to. However,
Right. So
you're gonna
yes,
be,
yes,
yeah,
correct.
you're
So
gonna,
we
sorry, go ahead, Niaz.
no. Right. As Mary said earlier, right? So of course, in one stretch, it's not possible for us to have a session for Pro 3, and that to run it virtually, it's not possible. But we will plan something, probably a series of session or so. So for this year, the answer is no, guys. Maybe the next year, let's decide. That's where you guys can also go ahead and help us out to do it, because we are also volunteering a lot of the developers from the ecosystem, for where they would nominate themselves and they would be a speaker for one of the following sessions, right? So with that approach, we would go ahead probably plan for a series. But as I said, it's still work in progress. We are not sure how and when can we do it, but if something comes up, then of course we'll inform all of you upfront.
Yeah, thanks, Niaz. And for
Yeah.
Pro 3, since it might take you like 5 days, you're gonna be sick of me. So I don't want you to. It's gonna be too much.
Right.
Thanks, everyone. I think you guys, most of you already completed Pro 2 as well. You guys are pros already. Congrats. I think we can stay for like 2 more minutes. And if you guys have any more questions, we'll be here. If not, it's Wednesday, middle of the week. Have a great week ahead. Just a few more days till it's December. Right. Yeah, it's December already on Friday. Oh my gosh.
Right.
Right?
It's very too fast.
I know. It's 2024 already next, like after a month. Crazy. So crazy. Yeah.
So guys, if you have completed Pro 2, and as Mary suggested, make sure you add it to your LinkedIn profile, because that is, one of the areas where, your managers or your recruiters, they identify, if you are certified in Pro certifications, and also post it on the LinkedIn. Do tag me, Mary, and other people from the Workato folks so that it reaches out to more and more networks on the platform.
Yeah. Thanks, Niaz. Okay, I think everybody is okay and they're starting to leave. So we'll say our goodbyes as well. Thank you for joining our 2 hour session and maybe see you next year. We'll see. Oh, sure, sure.
Yeah. Yeah, Shivam, please go ahead. You can unmute yourself if you guys want. You can unmute and you can speak.
Yeah, hi Niyaz and hi Mary. So one quick question from error handling. Like when I was going through the error handling, I saw that we are just choosing the monitor and on error. Okay, but when we have to create a common framework for error handling, so even we are calling this function inside the functions, okay, the recipe inside the recipe. So that time we will be using the common error framework, right? So that we will be covering in the automation 3, or it is already a part of automation 2 only, which we missed. See, it should be a common logging framework, right? If
Yeah,
I'm going through this, it's like whenever there is a trigger start, after that we are just going with a monitor and on error. But it should be a common framework where we can have a common logging framework. Even
yeah.
so,
So we do have what we call the recipe call function. So usually if you would want to reuse a certain step or certain framework to other recipes, you use this recipe function to build your recipe logging. I believe we have this in our academy. It's called the recipe function. I'm just not sure if the example is for error handling recipe function. Let me check. Okay. And it is, I know, part of, not part of Automation Pro 2. Is that? Mm, okay. So we do have recipe functions as an a la carte course. I'm going to send it here, right? So one way you can use a common framework for error handling is using recipe functions. This recipe functions, it was not covered in our Pro 2 because this is an a la carte course. Basically, what will happen is these error monitoring or this on error, this will be, how do you call it? This will be extracted and this will be run every time you have your on-air handling. Sorry,
okay, yeah,
yeah. I hope it makes sense. But basically,
yeah,
the recipe function, it's a snippet of your error handling that you can reuse in your other recipes. So it means that you don't need to build it again from scratch. It will be inside the recipe function where you can call this anytime inside all of your recipes. You have this pattern for your error handling where it could send an email or it could log it into another database only for errors alone. Yeah, I hope that makes sense.
yeah, got it. And one more thing, like while going through this Workato documentation, I saw like
Yeah.
the documentation was very like it's like spread out. It is not having a concrete where we can just go with one document and we can cover each and every activities.
Do you mean this one?
Yeah,
docs.workato.com?
correct. Like, do we have any, like, if I want to download one document which covers all the entire activities, each and every functions and all the uh, pellets, what we would be using, right? Do we have any one document, or is it's like the spread out only, like individually topic wise?
It is actually spread out, but you are looking at the correct page. It is docs.workato.com. All of our features and anything related to the recipes would be found in docs.workato.com. This is for, documentation. Let's say for troubleshooting, I'm going to send this to you, and it will show you the different types of errors, etc., how you can resolve your errors. For academy.workato.com, this is more of giving you hands-on exercises for that certain topic. So there are two main support docs that I would suggest you to look at. One is docs.workato.com. This is the correct where you are looking. And the other one is academy.workato.com, where it is giving you, hands-on, real-time, scenario on what you should be doing. Docs.workato.com. This is more of like a supplementary resource of what you will be doing when you're building your recipe.
Yeah, got it. Yeah. Thank you, Mary. Thank you, Niyaz.
You're
Thank you. Thank you so
welcome.
much, Shivam. Awesome.
Okay. Oh, thank you, everybody.
Right. So I guess we can wind up, Mary, because most of the people have completed, it's almost either
Yes.
they have got
Yeah.
14 out of 15 or 15 out of 15.
Congrats. I know they're amazing. So again, everybody, thank you
All right.
and congratulations.
All right, cool. Thank you all, and let's soon meet. And of course, we will also plan a lot of physical meetups, in the cities. So all the physical meetups will start from the starting of the next year, 2024. And so all the regions that we have covered, for example, Pune, Bangalore, Hyderabad, Mumbai, we will be covering those cities, and also we'll be expanding to other cities where we have a good presence of the Workato ecosystem.
Nice. I'd love to meet
Right.
up with everyone too.
Maybe we'll invite you, Mary, for one of the physical events.
Yeah. I'd love to try Indian food, samosa, tandoori. Yeah, invite me,
Right.
please. All
Cool,
right.
cool.
Thanks,
Okay. Thank you,
everyone.
guys. Sure. Bye-bye. Take
Bye.
care.
Take care too.